Hi everyone, thanks for watching my video how to make the ultimate no blind bake bakewell tart. So here's the ingredients you'll need. It's very few to be honest, and it's really easy to make. So we're going to start off with a 20 by 30 centimeter tin. This is a silverwood one with a removable base, and it's about 50 ml deep. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is line it. If you check out my other video on blind baking, you'll see I go into a bit more detail on how to roll pastry, which we'll do in a minute. But here for the moment, I've got some non-stick silicone coated paper, which I'm just using the base to draw around. This is the Lakeland paper that I'm using here, and it just happens to be exactly the right width for this type of tin. So I've just drawn around it, I've turned it upside down, and I'm just folding the sides up, and then it will just simply slot into the tin. Another thing we're going to do next is really great tip for you. You'll see a little pile of paper clips, and I just use these to hold the paper in place. It stops it blowing around in the oven and distorting the shape of your final bake. So I use paper clips or bulldog clips a lot to hold paper in place depending on what it is that I'm making. Okay, so we can pop that on one side. The next thing we're going to do is roll the pastry out. So I've just got here half a block of Just Roll short crust pastry. Again, check out my blind baking video where I go into detail on how to, really get great success rolling pastry and how to make it easy. But simply the key to it is leave it out for an hour before you want to use it, and lots of flour for dusting. You can roll this really thinly. There's no blind baking involved, and all we want to do here is just make it bigger than the tin and then just trim it about half a centimetre bigger. So I'm just trimming it tight there, and then I'm leaving about half a centimetre excess here, only because pastry shrinks a little bit. It shrinks as you pick it up and it pulls back on itself. And all I'm going to do next is give it a quick dusting, fold it in half, which will stop it sticking together, makes it really easy to handle, and literally just pick it up, drop it in the tin, and shape it to the base. So just use your fingers just to tease it out to the edges. Once you've done this, you can pop it in the fridge while we get on with the rest of it. So next, I've got my mixer here, and I've just got the butter and sugar in the bowl, and I've got the beating attachment. We want to cream this, but not too much. We want to make it fluffy, but not too airy. So literally about a minute is enough. The butter is soft at room temperature. It's caster sugar that I'm using, so it doesn't take much. Give it a quick scrape down and give it about another minute as well. And next we can literally throw in the rest of the ingredients. So we've got 3 eggs going in, and then we've got our mixture of almonds, which are ground, and plain flour. I'm also going to give this a little flavour boost, and there are some really great extracts on the market which you can use. Now here we have Sicilian lemon extract, so this is just lemon oil. 2 teaspoons will give it a little bit of zing and a little bit of acidity just to sort of cut through the sweetness, and 2 teaspoons of almond extract. It's really important you use extracts as they are the real thing. Essences can be fake flavours. So extracts are what you must look for. They are natural ingredients. So gave it another quick mix for about a minute, and then I just give it a final stir using my spatula by hand just to bring it all together. Now next thing I've got here is a piping bag and a bag clip, and the bag clips are really useful, so I'm just going to snip it across the end of the bag, and then I can cut the end of the bag off. Now what the bag clip does is it just stops the filling dropping out while you're trying to fill it up. To fill a piping bag is really simple. Turn it inside out and all the way down, and then just use your hand and hold it like an ice cream cone. And as you fill it, it will start to go through your hand and expand. So you can see here, I'm just putting the filling in there. It's mess free if you do it this way. Pop all your filling in, keep pushing it down, and then turn it back on itself. And there you've got a piping bag that's full with no mess. So just twist it up to stop the filling coming out. You can see the bag clip stops it coming out the other end too. Bakewell tart wouldn't be Bakewell tart without raspberry jam. So I'm just putting, I don't know, 3 or 4 tablespoons down in the base on top of the pastry. And you can see that I've left about a centimetre uncovered around the edge. It's really important you do this to stop the jam bubbling up over the sides. And what I'm going to do here, so I've just taken the bag clip off, and now I can squeeze the filling down using a piping bag. Keep one end twisted and use your other hand for pressure. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to pipe around the edge where I've left it with no jam. Now this will seal the jam in and stop it bubbling, and then you can literally just use the piping bag to do neat lines over the rest of the jam and then just evenly disperse any that's left. Using this technique will stop the frangipan mix from mixing up with the jam, so we'll get some really nice layers at the end. And then I'm just using a spatula to give it a rough flatten out. Now this next bit is really important. I've got a hot stone in my oven. Now that's a posh name for a cutting board I bought, took the rubber feet off, and it's been heating in there at 200°C for about an hour. Now I'm going to reduce the temperature to 160, and I'm going to set the timer for about 40 minutes. What the hot stone does is it will cook the base of the pastry and avoid the dreaded soggy bottom, so we'll get a really crisp pastry base. Now after about 30 minutes, if it starts to colour too much, all I do, and this applies to any form of baking, so it's still a bit soft and it needs to feel firm in the centre, just rest a piece of foil with a hole punched in it on top. That will stop the colouring happening, but it will still carry on baking. Rather than just persevering and ending up with a burnt top, this is the perfect solution. It works brilliantly for cakes, for pies, for anything that is in the oven that needs to be in there for a long time. Just rest a piece of foil on top. So there you go, 40 minutes. It's nice and firm in the centre now. It'll have just started to pull away from the edges slightly. Pull it out of the oven and let it cool completely in the tin. Okay, so once it's cold, we can take the paper clips off, and we can literally, because it's a loose bottom tin, these tins are brilliant, we can just push it out. We've got the paper in place. Non-stick paper is fantastic. So, and you can see here, I can put the tart up on its side, peel the bottom away nice and cleanly, and you can see how crisp that pastry is at the bottom, and it's the stone that gives you that success. Like I said, just buy a cheap cutting board. They're about £14 to get that, rather than an expensive baking stone. So all I'm doing here, I'm using a ruler so I get neat slices. So I've chopped it in half vertically, and then I'm doing 5cm cuts all the way across, and this will give me 12 perfect slices. And I'm using a non-serrated, very sharp knife, and it will give you the clean cut. And here you can see now, I mean, how easy is this bake? Pull out a slice, crisp pastry, nice layer of jam, and a really succulent frangipan on top. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and thank you very much for checking it out, and please have a look at my other baking videos on YouTube, and there'll be lots more coming as well. Thank you, bye.